My father was born in 1914 in humble yet difficult circumstances. Mean circumstances. His last 10 years were difficult as his dementia advanced. His death was mean. If I had taken a gun, a pistol, placed it to my father's head and whispered, "Goodbye, Dad, I love you," pulled the trigger, killed him, I would be in jail for murder. But we allow residents in long-term care facilities to be killed through neglect, indifference, poor care, over-medication with antipsychotic drugs. There must be an end to such treatment of the elderly, especially those with dementia. We need a culture change. There must be a culture change in the long-term care of the elderly. It matters not that my father overcame his difficult childhood, escaped poverty, graduated from college, taught mathematics, joined the military where he rose through the years from private first class to lieutenant colonel. He married, fathered a daughter. He was a college professor, an early adopter of computers, a county supervisor. He doted on his grandchildren. So many aspects of his life were ordinary, but so many aspects were extraordinary. After age 80, his mind began to fail him. His body remained sturdy. At the age of 91, he was declared incompetent. At 95, he moved to the memory care unit of a prestigious facility. His dementia increased. It has been noted that as needs increase, the level of care decreases regardless of the elegance or cost of the facility. And so it was with my father. There was a lack of staff, poor staff training, staff turnover, and the bottom line, administrative desire to decrease costs. After 5 years in this expensive facility, in just one day, he fell once, twice, 3, perhaps 4 times. One of those falls resulted in a broken hip. Because of his physical sturdiness, the hip was repaired. For rehabilitation, he went to the VA, a horror story in its own right. Thereafter, he went to a state-run veterans care facility where one could expect good care for a veteran of World War II in Korea. Again, needs unmet. Unless I was there, his wheelchair was tilted back so that he could maneuver it. He had gotten quite good in moving up and down the hall. His desire to toilet himself was neglected. His combativeness was always related to hygiene issues. In an effort to control his combativeness, the drugs came. Haldol, Ativan, Depakote, Zyprexa. Antipsychotic drugs contraindicated for the elderly, especially those over 85. His doctor, in response to my complaint, stated that there were many things that were contraindicated, but if they were not tried, you wouldn't know whether they worked. He never made eye contact with me. The effect of the drugs left my father in a zombie-like state. His body temperature dropped. Over the course of the week, as I visited daily, I was unable to get anyone to respond to my complaints. When I finally convinced the head nurse to send him to hospital, his temperature, as determined by the rescue squad, was 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Hypothermia, organ failure, hospice, death. I am not angry that my father is no longer with me. I am angry about the manner of his death. Everyone deserves a good death. The suffering that my father endured is untenable. A day after his death, my father's possessions and personal effects were packed unceremoniously without my presence. The room was presumably cleaned. A new resident was in place within 24 hours. Was this a planned riddance of an unruly resident? We must have a culture change. There must be a culture change in the care of the elderly, particularly those with dementia.